The SMUD Board of Directors meeting of March 5th, 2015 to order. Please join me in the pledge to the flag. At this time, the board will entertain comments from the public. We give our customers an opportunity to speak on items that are not on the agenda, on which the board will take no action, but is within our jurisdiction. Please speak into the microphone at the podium and state your name for the record. Ginni Lynne. Followed by Melissa Andrews.
Good evening. My husband, Jack D. Lynne, delivered his sworn declaration of biological harm and injury caused by biologically experimental smart meters at 3 separate residences. He has never fully recovered from these injuries. I appeared again before you and requested your FCC grant of equipment authorization for your smart meter. The FCC document for this OWS NIC 514 FCC identifier clearly states, quote, the antennas used for this transmitter must be installed to provide a separation distance of at least 20 centimeters from all persons. That equals 8 inches. Additionally, the Silver Spring Network's document for this OWS NIC 514 FCC identifier states this, quote, note, for the FCC compliance, the following text must be included in meter manuals and user's guides. The device should be installed so that people will not come within 20 centimeters or 8 inches of the antenna. Why have we never received any such warning in writing? Seen any such warning label on your smart meter? Noticed any restraint barrier around your smart meters to physically keep people away per the FCC and Silver Springs Network's required 20 centimeters or 8 inches separation distance? The only way SMUD can ensure compliance with FCC requirements is to install a cage or barrier around the smart meter, or there is always the chance that someone will innocently get within 8 inches. It appears that there are 3 possibilities going on here. 1, SMUD has a written waiver exempting it from the FCC grant of equipment authorization. 2, SMUD is in violation of the FCC grant of equipment authorization. 3, FCC publications, grants, and requirements mean nothing and can be violated at will by SMUD. I'm making an official Public Records Act request for any such exemption that SMUD may have regarding this demonstrable violation of the FCC grant and Silver Springs Network's labeling and installation requirements. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Andrews. Followed by Mr. Eric Windheim.
Mr. President, board members, staff, my name is Melissa Andrews. The nationwide advanced metering infrastructure, or smart grid, is calibrated to expose all Americans to 3 powerful sources of microwave radiation: smart meters, smart appliances, and a ubiquitous network of antennas on utility poles and cell towers. Neither the federal government nor grid profiteers have undertaken a single public health study into the long-term health effects from this exposure. This network inflicts an incalculable increase in hazardous EMR at a time when the International Agency for Cancer Research has designated RF, microwave, electromagnetic frequencies as a group 2B carcinogen, possibly cancer-causing. Over the last 3 years, deceptive installation tactics, fires caused by meters, skyrocketing utility bills, privacy concerns, and disabling health effects have led many, including some government officials, to admit the touted benefits of smart systems have not materialized, while the negative ramifications are starting to prove disastrous. We're still waiting for factual documentation of all the beneficial outcomes here in Sacramento that we've experienced, and we've already reported to you some of the disastrous ones. Non-thermal biological effects of exposure to EMR include DNA damage, abnormal genetic and hormonal changes, sperm damage, pregnancy complications, weakening of the blood-brain barrier, degradation of immunity, and certain types of cancer, including brain. Inescapable exposure places children at particular risk for altered brain development and impaired learning. These concerns are corroborated by the blockbuster 2012 Bioinitiative report, of which we've provided you copies in the past, showing that chronic exposure to both electromagnetic fields and microwaves proves a serious health hazard. Wardrobe malfunction. You've heard declarations from some of the canaries in the mine over the past several years, and yet you continue to believe we are the people with tinfoil hats. You must think us crazy to come here month after month, and I'll admit it does appear insane, doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. And yet we're here, committed to a set of ideals and the truth, attempting to educate you and the public through a deeply felt concern in what we believe is right. We believe you have a moral responsibility to your customer owners and to your oath of office, and to defend us against all enemies, domestic and foreign. And we see smart meters as one of the enemies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eric Windheim, followed by Mr. Mark Graham.
Good evening, Board and staff. My name is Eric Windheim, and I am the Director of Sacramento Smart Meter Awareness. I'm sorry to inform you, but SMUD is in violation of its FCC grant of equipment authorization and the Silver Springs Network Installation and Meter Labeling Guide, or OWS NIC 514. And there's a copy of those documents on the back here. Now, how can SMUD assure the safety of the public related to SMUD operations and facilities as SMUD Board Policy Strategic Directive Number 6 requires if FCC and Silver Springs Network requirements are being violated? Now, unless SMUD has an official waiver from the Federal Communications Commission or Silver Springs Network and can produce it, SMUD is violating the required 20-centimeter, 8-inch separation distance. So I hereby make an official Public Records Act request for SMUD's waiver, if you have one, of separation distance as required by the FCC and Silver Springs meter labeling requirements. Now, SMUD has installed over 630,000 of these biologically experimental smart meters, and only a very few of them are locked inside enclosures that might provide the FCC and Silver Springs Network required minimum separation distance. Most of SMUD's biologically experimental smart meters are deployed in a manner that does not prevent a person from getting their body closer than 8 inches, and that's the violation. Now, SMUD has not provided any written letter of warning to the customers. SMUD has not even put a simple warning sticker on the meters. And Director Fishman and Tomeo, you're new here, and these above violations are another reason to consider before you defend the flawed decisions and actions of the past SMUD directors and staff. Now, here's a temporary solution. In order to comply with the FCC regulations, you have to prevent people from getting within 8 inches. You have to have a physical barrier. A letter isn't good enough, a sticker isn't good enough, some people won't read it. So this is very simple. They have them on radar domes in military installations and weather stations. It's just a simple plastic barrier that your microwave radiation easily goes through, but it prevents people from bumping into the meter or getting too close. Now, this is what I would call a actual, this is what's required by the letter of the law from the FCC. So I'd like to see you consider that. Additionally, we still have the tremendous news that the highest elected appointed official in the state has admitted that smart meters are hurting people.
Thank you, Mr. Windheim. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Mr. Mark Graham.
Good evening, board members and staff. My name is Mark Graham, and I live in Elk Grove. This is dedicated to all the victims of SMUD's biologically experimental smart meter radiation. Do you hear the storm a-coming? Coming to you, the old SMUD board, the SMUD staff and board. You have heard the owner's declarations. Each one of them you have ignored. You are here as sworn public servants. Each of you has taken an oath to uphold the Constitution, but sadly, you ignore them both. There's no proof of human safety. The peer-reviewed studies you claim do not exist. You haven't produced a single one, and so, my friends and I resist. We have done the research for you that Strategic Directive 6 requires of you. The bioinitiative and overpowered, they are out there in plain view. You know these biologically experimental smart meters are harmful. You are causing people pain. They cause insomnia and tinnitus. They cause interference to the brain. 13,000 transmissions daily, each one a very short-term spike. 240 times as powerful as a cell phone. Things the body does not like. You have an obligation to protect your customers' safety and health. You are sneaky and deceptive, and you operate by stealth. Although 2 years ago you decided to let your customers opt out, you have never told them about it, never publicized the analog meter option. Sneaky and deceptive, no doubt. Do you see the storm a-coming? What will you say? What will you do when it gets here? What will you say to those you have injured, your customers terrorized with fear? Whatever you plan to say then, there's one excuse that will not fly. Oh my gosh, we had no idea. Did you know? Heck no, neither did I. The records of these meetings will show that time and time again we presented information to you, we made clear proposals, and then you pretended not to hear us. You thought you held all the power. You figured you'd do whatever you wanted, sitting in your ivory tower. But power is a fleeting thing. If properly used, it grows. But when the powerful are unjust, the power they once had goes. Do you see the storm a-coming? More of your victims saying no, standing together and telling you these biologically experimental smart meters must go. I'll be back.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Ms. Julie Ostich, followed by Ms. Kim Glazzard.
Good evening, SMUD board members. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but Eric asked me to say some words to follow up with his presentation regarding the FCC guidelines that are not being followed. He asked me to read this, that what SMUD can do in light of this new fact and admission. The one is the potential of harm, notify all SMUD customer owners and the public, providing factual disclosure, full factual disclosure about the biological experimental smart meter that includes notice of the potential for biological harm through the many venues SMUD has. 2, analog meter option, notify all SMUD customer owners that the public that analog meters are available through many communication venues that SMUD has. 3, end the extortion fees, end them now, eliminate any and all fees or rate penalties associated with the analog meter or its billing. And that we would expect immediate and responsible action, and suggest that you schedule a discussion for this topic and invite the public and especially us in notifying us. I'm a member of Sacramento Smart Meter Awareness Group, and I've spoken here many times. Since I have a little time left, I'm going to try to briefly state some other facts. I mentioned my own health problems that developed with these smart meters and how they improved greatly once they were removed, once the pre-smart meter was removed from my house. But my son, who was in 3rd grade at the time that this ITRA meter was installed in my home without my knowledge or permission, he was recognized as bright, intelligent, and gifted, and recommended for an advanced educational program. They put the meter on in the spring of that year, January, February of that year, and in the fall, suddenly he couldn't write. The meter was located off of his bedroom where he slept near his head. And we didn't know what was wrong. This went on, and he had nothing but problems at school, refusing to write, educational difficulties, emotional difficulties, and behavioral difficulties. And we changed schools and found out that in 6th grade he had ADD. There's studies now, peer-reviewed studies, showing that this RF and EMF technologies disrupt the production of over 100 proteins necessary for brain function. And finally, when we got this meter removed, and after switching schools 2 more times, his educational abilities improved, and he's no longer struggling or having behavioral problems. So it's been a vast improvement getting rid of that meter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim Glazzard.
Good evening, SMUD Board Directors. My name is Kim Glazzard, and I am a SMUD customer as well as the Director of Organic Sacramento Community Organization. I'd like to read a letter I'm submitting tonight regarding admission of smart meter harm and billing errors by former CPUC Director or President. Dear SMUD Board members, in light of the recent releases of emails by former CPUC President Michael Peavy revealing his knowledge about the imminent health dangers and billing issues of so-called smart or biohazard meters, SMUD can no longer claim it is unaware of the potential danger to SMUD owners by these biohazards. Short of prompt and decisive action to provide full factual disclosure of the potential dangers posed by these biohazards, along with complete information as to the process by which SMUD owners can return to analog meters at no additional cost to the SMUD owners, SMUD will be leaving itself open to major legal and lawful liability. This could include both individual SMUD board member liability as well as SMUD utility liability. As SMUD board members are now on notice per this recent release of admission by the former CPUC president, it is imminent and imperative that SMUD take immediate action to protect SMUD customers from continued exposure to the dangers posed by these biohazard meters and vigorously work to reduce SMUD's liability by preventing any further wrongdoing. SMUD must immediately, 1, send notification of full factual disclosure to all SMUD customers of the possible health, safety, and billing damages and risks posed by the continued use of the biohazard, i.e. smart meters. 2, send ongoing notifications to all its customers of their right to return to an analog meter, including both single and multifamily residences as well as businesses. And 3, eliminate any and all installation and monthly fees associated with allowing SMUD owners to have analog meters returned to their residences and businesses. I would like to know what specific steps you will be taking tonight and in the immediate future to rectify this grave situation. I look forward to receiving your responses, which may be sent to the address that's listed on the letter. And I respectfully submit this letter to the board.
Thank you very much. That concludes the public comment period. I have no additional speaker slips at this time. And since that completes our agenda for the evening, if there's nothing further to come before the board, we're adjourned.